Joining us right now is Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, that video was hard to see, and his statement was hard to digest. A distraction to find out where the lab leak came from? And you were the first one to say, and took all types of slings and arrows from people like him, look at the lab, look at the lab.
Yeah, Brian, it's not a distraction, and there's no evidence to suggest it's much more likely that this virus came from a bat, which don't live within hundreds of miles of Wuhan, or that it came from some food market, which wasn't even selling bats. I've said from the very beginning of this pandemic, we should obviously look to the laboratory where they were researching bat-based coronaviruses in the middle of the city where this outbreak originated. I think Dr. Collins and Dr. Fauci don't want to look at that lab because they were responsible for sending U.S. tax dollars to fund dangerous research to make coronaviruses more transmissible or more lethal there. But the American people deserve answers, and China deserves to be held accountable for unleashing this plague on the world.
Senator, in order to make more sense of the virus, have you been tempted to take guitar lessons and sing about it?
I have not been, nor do I think it's appropriate for senior public health officials to be making light of it, especially when so many of them both funded dangerous research at those labs, and they spent the first year and a half of this pandemic essentially covering for their Chinese counterparts, caring more about the reputation of the science, capital S, rather than getting to the bottom of what happened in that laboratory in Wuhan.
So the Wall Street Journal had a story today that talked about China. Things aren't nearly as great as they seem. They are cracking down on all free market principles and capitalistic tendencies that really brought them onto the world stage. They cut out weekend educational series. They're limiting the amount of time people can stream. They're cutting down back on jobs on the same thing. Real estate agents say the market is dropping significantly. They're laying off tons of workers. Joblessness is rising among the young, especially in the urban income. The growth is slowing. They have some real problems over there. They don't talk about them, but they're cracking down on the things that brought them into the main stage, and that is personal ambition and capitalistic tendencies. They are trying to gut that. That is our best hope to stopping this behemoth, don't you think?
Yeah, Brian, it's an important trend in China. Remember, China is a communist country, and they always put the party above the government and certainly ahead of the public interest. We should do everything we can to take advantage of these trends by reducing our reliance on China for things like advanced technology, but also life-sustaining drugs or sustaining medical devices or medical equipment. We should not continue to have such a huge and entangled trade relationship with China. We should bring more of that manufacturing back home. We should rely more on our allies. We should do everything we can to heighten these tensions inside of China to put more pressure on the Communist Party there.
If President Biden wants Tom Cotton on his side, if he decides to put together a plan, a practical one, that gets manufacturing out of China and brings us home, you'd be the first one at the White House, right?
I would work with anyone who's willing to reduce our reliance on China for critical technologies or life-sustaining source material. I don't think that Joe Biden's going to do that, though, but we can always hold out hope for a Christmas miracle at the Christmas season.
Hey, Senator Tom Cotton, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Merry Christmas.
All right.